Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for January 7th, 2021, from Matthew chapter 2, the return to Nazareth. Previously, God told the wise men not to return to King Herod, and God also told Joseph to take Mary and Joseph to Egypt. We may remember from Matthew chapter 2, verse 13. Now when they had departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." And he rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet, "Out of Egypt I called my son." And just as Joseph was obedient to God when God directed Joseph to take Mary as his wife, so also Joseph was obedient to God and took Mary and Jesus to Egypt. After the period of time, it was now time for them to return. And so how does God direct Joseph to come back home, so to speak? Through another dream. Verse 19. But when Herod died, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, "Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead." And he rose and took the child and his mother and went to the land of Israel. Joseph, being a very faithful husband and protector of Mary and Jesus, again obeyed the voice and direction of God. It's interesting to note that God previously had said something similar to Moses in directing Moses to kind of go back home. Let's pick this up from Exodus chapter 4, verse 19. And the Lord said to Moses in Midian, "Go back to Egypt, for all the men who were seeking your life are dead." Yes, God does take care of us, and God knows when to direct us and when to move us. And what happens when the evil quickly rises up? Is God paying attention? Again, the answer is yes. So let's go back to Joseph in Matthew chapter 2, verse 22. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And being warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee. Another dream. God communicates to protect his people. And now to Galilee, but for a purpose that might not be known to Joseph. We need to go to the Old Testament, Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1. But there will be no gloom for her who was in anguish. In the former time he brought into contempt the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali. But in the latter time he has made glorious the way of the sea, the land beyond the Jordan, Galilee of the nations. Galilee of the nations. Hang on to that phrase, because Isaiah is going to tell us that the Savior is going to come from this Galilee of the nations, or Galilee of the Gentiles. Galilee was considered by the Jewish leaders as a spiritual low-rent district, so to speak. But the perfect place for the Savior of the world, not just for the Savior for the best DNA of the children of Abraham, but the Savior of the whole entire world. Consider what Isaiah says of the Messiah in Isaiah chapter 53, verse 3. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And as one from whom men hid their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Well, being raised in Galilee would probably be a good starting point to be despised by the elite religious leaders. But don't worry, God's plan of our salvation is still in motion. Even though Isaiah was given these glimpses, Matthew puts them together for us. And Matthew has one more doozy to pull out of Isaiah. So let's hear about it in Matthew chapter 2, verse 23. And he went and lived in a city called Nazareth, so that what was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, that he would be called a Nazarene. Actually, the scriptures don't say that the Messiah was going to come from the city of Nazareth. But yet, Matthew says this does come from the scriptures. You see, Matthew noted a beautiful wordplay of Nazareth and Nazarene. And now let's take it one word more. Netzar. It's all related here, which is a shoot or a branch. So what was Matthew alluding to? The prophet Isaiah again, chapter 11, verse 1. There shall come forth a shoot from the stump of Jesse, and a branch from his roots shall bear fruit. So Matthew is putting all these Isaiah quotes together for his readers to sit there and say, this is the Messiah. This is God's plan for our salvation. And so while Jesus wasn't wearing a name tag that says, I am the Messiah, while he was growing up, Matthew starts putting these pieces together so it's very clear and obvious that Jesus is fulfilling the scriptures. So join me again tomorrow as we hear about Jesus returning to the temple. God's peace and many blessings be with you. Thank you for watching, and please take an opportunity to share this video with others. If you have enjoyed these daily devotions, please consider making a donation to Peace Lutheran Church, 24024 West Main Street, Plainfield, Illinois, 60544. Thank you again for watching.